What was your biggest treat yourself regret? I just passed my exams in university, so decided to treat myself to some Ben & Jerry's. I woke up covered in hives, vomiting, and burning up. Apparently I had an unknown allergy. It was the worst week of my life. Edit, for those curious. The allergist didn't find anything common that I was allergic to. This was over a decade ago, and I've never had issues since. It may well have been a fluke or something else. Thought I've never been on a cruise. I want to go on a cruise now. So booked a 2-week Caribbean cruise in a suite with the wife, who, on arrival, decided she didn't like me anymore and spent 2 weeks avoiding me. So I spent 2 weeks on my own on this bloody ship. We're divorced now. I bought a pair of quad roller skates on a whim, meaning that I did no research. Turns out there is quite a bit of intricacy with skates. I had purchased a pair meant for speed, meant for indoor rinks. My intended use was for outdoor skating. This resulted in falling on mire a million times outside and having zero control on my newly paved road. After buying softer wheels meant for outdoors. Wow, it's a huge difference. I should have done some research and saved myself a good chunk of money. I regret the spur of the moment purchase, but I'm glad that I got the skates and new wheels. Edit, I purchased a second-hand pair of Rock GT50s from someone in town, since the closest storefront with stock was over an hour away. It looks comparable to images online, so I assume there were no modifications. I swapped the 95A wheels for a set of 78A. A pair of Louboutins. Not comfortable. The sole wears away incredibly quickly. Heels easily get scraped on grates. I live somewhere with lots of grates. Bought a pair of used snowmobiles for $2,000. Had them for 2 years. First year we both got the flu the 1 week the snowmobile trails were open, so never use them. Second year my wife was pregnant, so we decided to sell them. Ends up one no longer wants to start, and the other one runs, but now has issues. Ended up selling them for $500. Never once used them besides unloading them from the trailer when we bought them. All you can eat sushi bar. Did the math on how much sushi I had to eat to save money from just buying the rolls individually. I hit my goal, but at what cost? I was trying not to throw up for the whole drive home, and spent the rest of the day in bed clutching my stomach and rethinking my life. Bought a PS3 when it came out and had to return it to pay rent. Bought a BMW 135i when I already had a perfectly good Nissan 350Z that was paid off. I was young and dumb and had just started making serious money for the first time in my life. So when I looked at that monthly payment I said this is fine. I can totally make this, not taking into account all of the other bills that can suddenly crop up. One of the worst decisions I ever made. Easily. Bought a telescope, but then I needed a camera to take pics. Then I needed a camera and smaller scope to guide it. Then I needed a better, more expensive mount. Then I needed another camera to help set up the more expensive mount. Then I needed cases and storage for this stuff. And another camera. And a star tracker. Then all of a sudden I have thousands in gear that I've used exactly never because it's freezing and cloudy most of the good viewing season anyways. Ate decadently to reward myself for exercising, completely undermining my efforts to get in shape. I spent around £300 on all the Talisman board games and a further £200 on a custom made box to keep them all in, largely due to COVID. I've played them once. Bought a sandwich after work, nearly choked on it. Just binge eating. I struggled with binge eating disorder for the entirety of my teenage years, and the shame and guilt and disgust that came after a binge is something I would just ignore and convince myself to not see as problematic because I was treating myself. Some of my worst that I can remember: 2 Jimmy John's sandwiches and cookies and chips, a giant bowl of leftover spaghetti, entire box of baked ravioli, 2 bottles of sparkling grape juice, entire loaf of Italian bread with butter, half a tub of ice cream, party-size bag of salt and vinegar chips, 2 boxes of macaroni and cheese, 3 overstuffed, large tequila boxes of buffet food washed down with too much drive pepper, party-size bag of corn chips, whole jar of Tostitos Squeezo Blanco, box of Swiss rolls, 3 Monster energy drinks, 2 blocks of dry ramen with the seasoning on them. The regret that followed was usually in the form of throwing up because I was so full, having bruised my stomach making it difficult to move, and obviously feeling like S overall. Luckily I'm on a medication now for bed and have gone to therapy, so my binges are very few and far between. Those I listed were all from ages 13 to 19, and I'm 22 now and healthier than I have ever been. I don't drink sugary drinks or eat any processed foods, rarely get tired, and have significantly increased my fruit/vegetable intake. The best part is that I can stick to normal portion sizes. Even the thought of the way I constantly caved and stuffed myself before is disturbing to me now, and I could never imagine doing it again. I really wonder how many years I took off my life by eating like that. Don't treat yourself with lots of food multiple days of the week. Find professional help instead. Edit, since some are asking, and I've gotten a number of DMs about it. The medication I take is Vyvanse. It's primarily used for treating ads in adults, but is also used in the treatment of bed. It doesn't necessarily decrease my appetite as much as it just keeps me from going black hole on my kitchen. In my experience, it makes me significantly less impulsive, which has been crucial in managing my binge eating. Vyvanse is a controlled substance because it has a high potential to be abused, so it might not be the best or easiest medication to get. I would suggest visiting a psychiatrist if you are able to and ask what they think would be best in your personal treatment. Since nothing is a one-size-fits-all solution, I also recommend seeing a dietitian, optional, and finding a counselor, absolutely imperative. A dietitian can help you change your eating habits to healthier ones and get you on the road to recovering physically and becoming more mindful of how food works in your body. A counselor can help you address what triggers your binges and aid you in preventing them or coping with the aftermath if you do fall through. Bed is a very psychological thing, so a counselor in addition to psychiatric treatment is so important. Recovering was one of the hardest things I've done, but has been worth every moment of the struggle. Even now, I still binge if my medication refill is late for whatever reason. But not having unhealthy food in my house makes it much less destructive. You are not lazy. You do not just lack discipline. You are not a disgusting glutton. You have a mental switch that just flips itself and makes you binge, whether you want to or not. This isn't your fault, and you can overcome it. I didn't think I ever would, but I somehow made it mostly out. It's possible, I promise. I bought a laptop from Razer. Worst decision ever. Already had to send it back to them once. Now it's just out of warranty and having more problems. Never again. I've always thought about it like this. Take however much that laptop is and invest in a tower. Yeah, it's nice to be bail, to do what you want wherever. But I find laptops, even high-end ones, become trash after a year. My PC is almost 8 years old, but still runs like new with only one upgraded part. Even if that laptop was only $500, you can still get a decent enough pre-made tower and learn how to improve it so it runs forever. Getting the Cirrus XM deal, $30/6mo, for my car, since when I do drive, it's cross-state, and then forgetting to cancel/threaten to cancel. So I got charged $120 for the next 6 months. I've been unemployed for over a year now and hadn't bought anything nice for myself in months. While buying groceries, I saw some pomegranates and I decided I deserved a treat. I found the biggest one in the pile, looked great, and bought it. When I cracked that fucker open that night, it was rotten inside, with no sign it had gone bad on the outside. I actually cried because I felt I had wasted precious money I shouldn't have. Edit, to anyone wishing to buy me a replacement pomegranate, please consider donating that money to a local food bank in your area instead. I appreciate the offers, but I'd feel bad accepting money, especially with so many different people asking. Went to Vegas and spent more money than I had intended. Had a blast, but flash forward a month later I had nothing to pay my car payment, and in Florida, if you are late 1 month they can repo your car. They did. pretty much everything I impulse bought while unemployed during quarantine. I'm currently typing this on a $1,850 phone. There is no way I can justify this. I bought it out of peer pressure. After years of wanting to experiment with my hair, I finally convinced myself that dyeing my long healthy brown hair purple was the best way to treat myself. I was originally given a price of $150 give or take depending on amount of dye used. Anyway, when she was done styling, I was happy and it looked pretty. I got to the counter and the total comes to $500. Now, I'm not a confrontational person. Also, I was young and kind of stupid to not argue with them. So I just paid, left a $50 mandatory gratuity and left. I know. For the next 2 weeks everything that came in contact with my hair was stained purple. Every time I washed my hair it bled purple. My shower was stained. The skin on my back, pillowcase, sheets, the back of my shirts. Purple. The worst part was that my long beautiful healthy brown hair was a heaping faded broken pile of straw after those 2 weeks. So I went out and bought a box dye similar to my own color, dyed my hair back, and swore off ever dyeing my hair ever again. Edit. Deleted extra words. I caught myself, but I was about to buy a 3080 off eBay for about $800. It turns out it was just a picture of it, and the goal was to get bots to buy it. But I didn't read the description, and almost bought it. Maybe I'm a bot. I dropped $1,000 on a gaming PC when I was a sophomore in college. Took out a credit card to put it on that and overestimated my ability to consistently make more than the minimum payments. Ended up finally paying it off like 2 years later. Having paid probably an extra $300 in interest, but learned a valuable lesson. And also had a better PC than all my friends. Half my games on my Steam account. When will I ever have the time to play all these? Got a promotion that meant I would be driving most days to an office after commuting by train for years. Bought myself a Tesla for the new ride. Took delivery on March 14th last year. Haven't driven to the office once. Between the down payment and the monthly payments since, I've spent about $7 a mile to own the thing. Bought myself luxurious body gel. I used it one time. Got an allergic reaction. My left leg doubled in size because of how swollen it was. It hurt. Was stinging as hell and it was overall a disaster. The bottle was not even 90 milliliters and cost me more than 180 kr. F you, company that made this bullshit. Bought a laptop for $1,000 a few months ago. I've used it like 3 times. And now it's too late to return it. Every time I've eaten an entire bag of dried mangoes in a day. They're fairly small bags, but still more fiber than 1 day's worth. So it all comes out at once the next morning. Edit. Great. The first post/comment I've made to break 100 upvotes. And it's this. My darling boyfriend got into streaming when the pandemic hit and we went into lockdown. He gained a small following speedrunning games. He had some fun. During the height of all this, I thought I'd give it a try. I streamed my Sims builds like once or twice, but for a multitude of reasons just thought it wasn't for me. One of those reasons being I don't know anything about the tech. I just swapped out my laptop for my BS when I streamed. My boyfriend has an Elgato capture thing. When he saw that I wanted to get into it, he bought me one as well. S was not cheap as the world was shut down and everyone and their mother wanted one of these things. I didn't qualify for unemployment and he was making only about 2/3 of his normal paycheck from pandemic relief unemployment, so I was not happy at all. His reasoning was that we can both stream at the same time and do dual streams. He had such good intentions, but for someone who knows so much about the technology and setup, he ought to have known that we combined simply don't have a powerful enough computer to dual stream the way he wanted to. I know he just wanted this to be a fun activity we could both do together. So he treated himself, and me I guess, to a second Elgato. It's never been used. Now we are back to work, and he doesn't stream at all. So now we have 2 unused Elgatos. Minecraft story mode was all excited I won $50 in Halloween raffle, and why the F did I not research that hotter garbage first?